Hello, hello. It is Michelle Wilson with Ignite Your Essence TV. And I'm super excited about today's show. We bring to you amazing individuals who love to share their success stories. And we talk about inspiration, educational, and inspirational information to you. And today we're going to be talking about how to live your best life after 50. And we have a very special guest. Her name is Cheryl Garrison. And Cheryl Garrison is the CEO of 50 Something Lifestyle. But let's learn a little bit more about Cheryl.
Cheryl Garrison is on a mission to connect women over 50 with each other to share experiences, expertise, and support each other through their journey. Cheryl is the founder and CEO of 50 Something Lifestyle, which is a training and coaching resource for women over 50 who are transitioning in their financial, professional, and spiritual life. Cheryl Garrison became an entrepreneur out of the need to stay at home and raise her 3 children. For more than 30 years, Cheryl has been an entrepreneur and has earned millions from home and various business ventures. As a business owner, Cheryl Garrison has been awarded numerous business excellence awards and is passionate about maintaining her independence and freedom as her own boss. Cheryl has also been a featured speaker at several women's conferences and networking events, including the 2015 Womenpreneur Conference, which was live streamed to over 15,000 women. Cheryl has authored 4 books and published 13 books. She publishes a collaboration book that includes women over 50 who share stories of triumph over domestic violence, abuse, and health, career, and business challenges. Her expert-based books have helped women reinvent themselves and create business success. And now a guest on Ignite Your Essence TV show, Cheryl Garrison, welcome.
Welcome, welcome, Cheryl. I am just so thankful and grateful and really honored to have you here today. And you have worked with women all over the world. So we're so excited to be talking about, life, living your living your best life after 50. That's how excited I am. Cheryl, I just want to, start off with a fun fact. I want to know
Okay.
something about yourself that maybe somebody doesn't know about you.
I don't know if a lot of the people in my following know that I'm a musician at my church, and I've been doing that since I was 8 years old, and just enjoying being able to give service in my church through music. And so I think that's something that some people don't know about me and would probably be surprised that I play piano and sing and just love music.
That's exciting. I'm a musician since the age of 5. And so I know that you are a woman of service and that you're passionate about serving women over 50. And so let's kind of start there. I know that you are a mother of 3 and you started your business out of a need. So can you kind of just go back? It was about 3 decades ago, I think you said, when you started your first business. Share with us a little bit, when you started that journey of starting a business while being a mom and how that is kind of impacting you now as you're serving women over 50.
Well, it started. I was in corporate America doing what, I went to college, I got my degree, did all the things that you do when you finish school. And I was working in as a manager and moving up in the corporate world. And I experienced a corporate layoff. And my youngest child was just a baby. She was probably about 9 months old when that happened. And because I had experience as a writer and was able to utilize that expertise, I was able to build my own consulting business from home and raise my 2 daughters. And I never looked back. So I've been my own boss and been able to get contracts because of the expertise that I had that very few people at the time, it was technical writing. And so I saw an opportunity then to be free and not to experience that being told that you have to leave because you don't have a place here in our organization again. So I've been my own boss since then. And I've never had to hear those words.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And I know you help women now. Your specialty is working with women, especially over 50. And kind of share with us how you transition. I mean, you started your business, you took your technical expertise and you started your business, consulting business. And
Hmm.
sounds like you've had several businesses over the
Yes.
years, right? That you were
Yeah.
able to work from home. But how did you transition to working with women over 50 and really helping them live their best life over 50? How did that happen? Tell me a little bit about that journey.
Well, the journey, it was more personal than anything. It started with having experience, because I was a businesswoman and I have had almost every kind of business you can think of. I was experiencing a tremendous business failure. And at that time, I was in my reaching my late 50s. And I had pretty much just given up. I had said, is it worth continuing to fight this battle of trying to maintain this entrepreneurial spirit that I had? And I had really fallen into depression because my kids were now grown. They were all out of the house. All the things that had sustained me as a mom and gave me that value, it was gone. And I was just sinking further and further into this person that was going to just give up and do nothing. And my son, who is now 28 years old, or 29, he was in college at the time and happened to come home. And he looked at me and he said, "Mom, you're done, aren't you?" And those words just really touched me. And I realized that I wasn't done. There was so much more I wanted to do. I had just forgotten because I was so much into myself and into what I was going through. So I began blogging and talking to other women in their 50s who were experiencing the same things of having done all this in our 30s and 40s and reached for all this excellence, and then found ourselves in our 50s almost being ignored. And the stories kept coming in, and I kept blogging, and it just ended up being that I knew I needed to be a resource to women over 50 who were experiencing those things and come up with some solutions so that they could also do what I was doing, getting out of that, reaching for my dreams and my goals. And through that, I created this 50 something lifestyle business and started coaching and started speaking and writing and realizing that I was actually living my best life because right now I had the freedom to explore all the things I had dreamt of doing as a younger woman. But I was raising children and working in the church and working in the community, and I really wasn't working on me. And so in my 50s, I found, this is the time to work on me. And this is how it all started, just in my own life experience and working with women who were sharing their stories and feeling the same thing.
I love what you're saying, at the, after 50, that you have, that we as women have that opportunity to work on ourselves. Because I do know that, being mothers, or even um, women who are always, we're always serving others, right? And so
Right.
it sounds like at 50, especially if you have children or if you're, a caregiver, you have that empty nest kind of syndrome. And then it's like, oh my goodness, what's next? So when you were working with the women, you said you were blogging and they were
Mhm.
sharing your stories. Did you see like one common or biggest challenge that women were having through that experience when you started connecting and building your community?
It was actually a lot of them were still working, but it was knowing that in their jobs and their careers that they could feel the companies around them phasing them out. They were
Mm.
starting to feel that they were becoming invisible. They were becoming replaceable because most of them were making higher incomes, and they realized they could replace them with someone who they could pay less wages to. And so they were experiencing being pushed out, pushed away, and feeling irrelevant. And I sat at coffee with so many women who cried and shared that I worked all my life, and this is what I have to show for it. that this is all there is. And once I started creating resources and about coming up with plans to reinvent what you want to do, think about what you in your 30s, in your 40s, what did you dream of being? And if you haven't reached that, this is the perfect time. Life isn't over, it's just beginning.
Wow. I really didn't realize because I've been an entrepreneur too for many decades and didn't really realize how, women as they're maturing in their careers, how they lose that, feeling like they're getting pushed out of their careers. And
Mhm.
so it sounds like you're able to empower them. So do you work with a lot of women when they're feeling that way? What do you do to help them empower them? I know you work with a lot of startups. Is that where you begin the entrepreneurship, um, giving them that, you said resources? What type of
Mhm.
resources are we talking here that you can help women, especially who are professionals in in their career and they're not necessarily have a business? How do you help them or transition them into maybe entrepreneurship, or is there something
Mhm.
else beyond entrepreneurship when you're working with women over 50?
We really start with mindset and confidence. That's the
Mm,
one thing that it gets eroded over time, that feeling that I can do anything. And so one of the classes that I teach is called Bring Her Back. And it's a confidence training for women over 50 who are feeling that, they know it's in there, but it's lost. So we do exercises and training that brings them back to that confident person.
wow.
And once they reach that level of confidence, then if it's their desire to start a business, they have the confidence to do that. If they want to write a book, they have that confidence. If they want to start a second career, they have the confidence to be able to withstand all the objections that come with when you do. When you do, things start coming at you to try to keep you from doing. But when you're confident, you don't let those things keep you from doing. You find solutions. And so that's probably one of the biggest trainings that I do is confidence training. And then from there, we do basic business startup training and focusing on planning and strategy. Because one thing I found that in most businesses, people don't plan, they don't strategize, they just start the business and think people will come. So we work on business planning and creating the strategies that allow them to reach their financial goals through those plans and strategies.
Wow. And I know you were talking about how when you hit that pivotal point in your life, because you said you had a few business failures, and your son was like, "Is it over?" Can you tell me what lessons you learned in your business over the last 3 decades? Is there something that you could share with us that impacted you that us that's maybe starting a business
Uh-huh.
can avoid?
Well, one thing to really know that failure is not who you are, it's not what you are, it's not what you're going to be. It's a singular incident. And if you look at most businesses, most very, very successful businesses, in their history, you see failure, because people who do can potentially fail. If you don't do, there's no opportunity to fail at all. So you have to change the way you look at failure and know that it's that one time, that one incident, and that it doesn't define who you are, and it doesn't define your capabilities and expertise to do something different and to do something greater. Usually failure puts us on the platform to go to something better and something bigger than we ever imagined. And I was in a design business, and I was making a lot of money and had lots and lots of clients. And 2008 hit, and with that, the economy crashed, and so many businesses failed. And what came out of that was this 50 something business, which is greater, bigger, more uh, more fulfilling. It's the most passionate thing I've ever done. And all of my experiences from the first business I started in my 30 to now set me up to be where I am today. So if you're in business and you feel like this isn't going well, I'm just not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. This is a failure. Don't look at it that way. It's a singular incident that may not be going well now, but learn from it and move forward and use your skills to do something bigger and better.
That's a powerful tip, that fail. I like to say fail is, the first attempt in learning.
Yes,
It's a learning experience. It's not, like you said, it doesn't define you. Don't allow that to define who you are. And so I love what you're talking about. When you're first working with women, you're talking about mindset and confidence building. So I know you said you have a program that you work with women with regarding confidence building. But
Mhm.
what areas would you say in their life? I know that we have areas, we have our mindset, we have our family, we have our spirituality. And then early on you talked about ourselves that, oh, I could really, this is the time that I can work on myself or
Mhm.
be me. Working with women, is there anything that you've seen that is a common denominator, or is it just different among women when it comes to like confidence building? Is it somewhere in their life, especially at turning 50? I know you said
Mhm.
that that they don't feel relevant anymore because
Mhm.
if you're working a job, they're getting pushed out. But is there anything else that you see working with women when it comes to confidence building and just really helping them in their journey?
Um, One of the things, other than just the confidence to be a business person or something like that, it is really the confidence in yourself, personal confidence, because we're getting older and our bodies are changing. We're graying, all the things that are happening to us, and sometimes we look at that as we're not, the woman we used to be, and we're less than because of that. But if you just look and reverse it and think about being seasoned, all of this means that you've lived, you've done, and that gives you something to be able to share with someone else because you've experienced. So we work on personal confidence in yourself, walking into a room, being able to hold your head up and look people in the eye and know that you are not less than just because you're now a little older. It just means that, I say we're not getting older, we're getting better. And so we talk about, that whole personal uh, confidence in how you dress and how you carry yourself, because that's all a part of being of people. If you are in business, of people following you, they want to be able to follow someone they believe knows where they're going and feels good about themselves and can help them get there as well.
I love what you're saying. It's just holding your head up high, and we're getting so many positive comments. Just that inner self and hold your head up high. Now, you mentioned just earlier a little bit when we were in the green room, you said you want to be the voice of
Mhm.
women over 50. So, when you say that, is it that you want to change how, I mean, you're working with women to build up their
Mhm.
confidence, but then society, how society views women? Is that what you mean by you want to be the voice of women? Can you tell me a little bit more about that passion, about that purpose of being the voice?
Well, I just want to be the voice that lets women who over 50 who are struggling with who they are and where they're going, that if that's you, let's have a conversation. There are resources there to help you get past that. And I wrote a book called Finding Your Passion, and it's targeted to women over 50. And it really is about finding that thing that gets you up in the morning and get you started and get you moving. It doesn't have to always be about, moving, coming up with a multi-million-dollar business or something like that. It could be that to go out and work in your community and volunteer, but something that gets you going in the morning so that you know that life has significance. And so when women over 50 are looking for someone to talk to or give them some sort of resource to get them moving, my goal is that hopefully they will look to either one of my programs, to one of the books that are being published through the Becoming 50 Something series, that there will be something that they can find that they can read or hear that will let them know that you've got this. This is just going to be the greatest. My tagline is living your best life right now, not waiting, just doing it right now because you've earned the right to speak for what you want and what your life should be.
I love that. Living your best life right now, or there's no more waiting. And I do
No.
want to talk about your series in a minute, but I just had a question for you. You said that,
Uh,
what passion, what wakes you up in the morning. So do you have any favorite rituals that you do for yourself to get up to help you step into your passion and your purpose each day?
uh, one thing that I love to do, of course, I'm a coffee drinker. So every morning I get up with my coffee and I have that time, just my me time. And I do devotionals. I do have my devotionals that I read for my own spiritual uplifting. But I love Perry Mason. I watch Perry Mason every day. And there's something about doing that that just gets me to just feeling like, okay, life is okay. And there's some, it seems a little wacky, but there are things that we attach ourselves to that just give us energy. And if it's something that's as simple as a television show or music or a book that you're reading, or like I said, a devotional, pick that up to get you going. The one thing practice that I got into early on in business was making my plans for the next day the night before. So I don't really wake up wondering what the day is going to be. I have somewhat of a plan, and sometimes I follow it, but I don't wake up to just, oh, what is the day going to bring? Because I planned it the night before.
I love that. Like I said, it's okay to be wacky, whatever it is that fuels your passion, whether it be Perry Mason, and I have a Netflix show that I've kind of watched a few times, and that's, I don't really watch TV, but I don't know, it fuels me sometimes. So I thank you for that, allowing us to have, giving women permission to like having those, whether it's be a cup of coffee or tea,
Uh-huh.
or, it could be music, but something that really fuels your passion and your
Uh-huh.
soul to wake you up. But I love what you're talking about, that you start, you definitely plan the night before the day begins so that you do
Mhm.
have a purpose and a goal. So let's kind of move on to your series, 50
Okay.
something, and the stories that you have collected over the past few years. And I know you've actually, you're a publisher and that you've already
Yes.
published one book in the series, 50 something. Is that correct?
Two books.
Two books now. So
Uh-huh.
tell us a little bit about that, and how you've been able to not only fulfill your dreams, because you said it's been very fulfilling for you, but fulfilling other women who are kind of on the same path as you.
Well, it started with knowing that we all have a story to tell. There's something that we can share with people that will help them on their journey if we're able to open up and be real and not be afraid to really tell our story. So if someone else is going through what you're going through, especially if on the other side of it there's victory, and most stories there are, then they feel like, oh, I can get through this. So we started with the 50 something, becoming 50 something books, and they're books of stories of inspiration and empowerment for women over 50. And the first book, we featured 8 women who shared their stories about growing up even in an abusive home, or growing up with being abused, or either just growing up fighting that battle of being a woman and not having access. One of the ladies is an athlete, and she, as a child, she played in little league, and there were barriers because she was so good, and she was too good to play on the girls team, and she found barriers to play with the boys. So that she talks about how she endured, and because of that she's very successful now, because she did not let that stop her. So the books give women an opportunity to tell their story in a just a brief format, and many of them take their story and turn it into a full book once they've been in the series. But the purpose is for them to share so that other women can be inspired and empowered to do more in their 50s. And so it started as a storytelling, and the second book featured 8 women, and we're starting the third book sometime this late spring. In May, we'll start looking for the next set of authors.
Congratulations. And that's actually how we met. We have a mutual friend and author, Kimberly Todd Tullis, who introduced you to me. And I know through her experience, I remember when she was writing her story and she was sharing with me how it's kind of intimidating. As you said, our stories our life is our test and our testimony. And so we all have a story and we can all learn from other people's stories, but it's sometimes difficult to share our stories, especially if they're painful. We feel ashamed. So how do you work with women? Because I know with Kimberly, she was saying how, she was biting her nails and stuff like that. She was so afraid to get her story out, but then it was so liberating after she did that. So how do you work with women who have a story, never written a book before or written anything before, and then you create this amazing story to share with others? So can you just walk us through that a little bit?
Our process starts with, we actually do writing workshops with the women who sign up for the book. And those workshops are really about how to structure a book just from an academic standpoint, the coming up with your theme, coming up with your title, and then brainstorming what you want to write about. And we help them outline the book, and we just do 3 or 4 of those writing workshops. And as they're going through the workshops, they're creating parts of their story, and then they're off to write. And when they turn them in to us, we look at the stories and we ask a lot of questions, especially if we know that they're at a point in the story where there's much more to tell, but you can tell they're afraid to tell it. And we just sort of coach them through telling that and knowing that this is a safe place to share that information. And with Kimberly, we had a similar situation. Her first draft, I could tell she was holding so much back. Kimberly, there's more to this. And when I started asking questions and working and coaching her through it, it ended up being the story of how she and her mom were able to get through domestic violence. And now I think her husband, and she's in a beautiful marriage, and she has just a wonderful person. And she was afraid to first share that. But once she shared it and found all the women who were uplifted by it, it was one of those things. She felt like, oh, it's a relief. There are other people going through it. They understand, and it's safe to share. And so we just really, it's not a write your story and you're in the book. There's a process, and it's a several months of working with the writers before their books are ready for in manuscript form.
Well, I can see how just that process is not only healing, for women, and liberating, and then also we're talking about living your best life. And so, our past, right, doesn't define, we've been talking about that, doesn't define our future. So knowing that, we do have painful experiences, but we can, grow from those experiences. And by sharing those stories, which are so amazing, that other women, because for some reason we feel alone when we're going through things, right? And so just knowing that there are other women out there that have the same or similar experience, it's comforting, and to knowing that if they got through it, I can get through it, or we can get through it, right? So I'd like to continue our conversation, but we're going to take a minute and learn a little bit more about the Los Angeles Tribune.
Okay.
Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And we're back with Cheryl Garrison with 50 Something Lifestyle. And we've been having a conversation of really how you can live your best life after 50. So I just want to thank you, Cheryl, for all that you've been sharing with us today. And you were talking about, we were just talking about your book series about how you help women to really dig into their life. I won't say dig into their life, but really go back into their life and help them heal. You were talking about a story about domestic violence, and then you were also talking about a young lady that, she was an athlete, and just going back to those childhood stories. So I just kind of want to go a little bit deeper with you, Cheryl.
Okay.
Is there something like in your childhood, because you said you are feeling fulfilled because you're able to help others, but you said in the beginning it was something that it was for yourself as far as a process to healing. So is there something in your childhood that you've written about that you like to share with our audience?
The things that I shared in my stories weren't about my childhood. I actually had a wonderful childhood. My parents were amazing, and they taught us to be amazing individuals. And I think that's part of my success, because we were, as children, we were always taught to be our best, and that we were the best. And so when I talk about some of my own struggles, they're with my own health in my adulthood. I've had struggles with. I had cancer that, thank God, was removable through surgery. But that was in 2017. Going through that, and my health being impacted by that. And really, in this latest book, my story is called Endurance, because during that period of when I knew there was something wrong with me, I just kept pushing forward and not getting the help that I needed, because I thought, oh, it'll go away. It'll be better. I'll be better. And I just endured. And what I found, that sometimes being that person that just does all, the do all, the endure all, it can be detrimental to some extent. So I write about how it's okay to have your goals and your plans and all the things that we do, but it's also important to be in tune with your own body, your own health. And I think that by sharing that story, women out there who right now who are maybe not feeling their best, and knowing that we know when something's going on, that they will get the help that they need to be better and to be healthier, and whatever it is, and be able to face it head on, get it fixed if it's fixable, and then just continue to live life. The childhood stories I share are about my dad and how much he influenced my life as a leader, because he was such a leader. He actually marched with Martin Luther King in Selma, and he was very civic minded in our community and made changes for people of color in our very small town. So watching him gave all of us that what we needed as growing up to really face the world and face the challenges. And so not all childhood things are traumatic. We bring some good stuff forward, and that's a good thing. And for those of us who weren't blessed like I was, there's still hope. There's no reason to say, well, I didn't get it, so it's not relevant, because we can all reach for something better. We all have the capacity to do that as human beings.
I love what you're saying, that we can have a great childhood and great mentors, and and I see that you are a phenomenal mentor to women and coaches. So do you have a coach or a mentor that you look up to when you know going through your journey? Is there someone that you love to? I know you said your father inspired you, but is there anyone else in your life that has been an impact towards you and your journey and your success?
Yeah, there are several women. I don't think we can get to where we are without having someone in people in our lives too who can check us for one, and also encourage us and embrace us. And I do have some very close friends in terms of a business mentor. When a few years ago, when I was struggling in business, I worked with this woman. Her name is Janet, and she was able to really teach me the importance of planning and strategy. And ever since that time of working with her, I've learned the art of doing that, and I've been able to share it with other women. But because of her influence in my life and in my business, a business that was just flailing at just a few $1,000s a year turned into a multi six figure business. And it was because I hired a coach and she helped me. In my personal life, I have some very dear friends. One in particular, Jean Booker. I don't know if she's watching, but she is the person I go to when I need to be able to release things and uh, help me through something. But the most important person in my life to help, who helps me in business, in life, and in everything is my husband, Dr. Jerome Garrison Sr. He has been my inspiration from the day we got married. He's a very unique man in that he has all these strengths and talents, and I've learned from him how to do business, music, all the things that I do. So I would say that he would be probably my biggest inspiration. And we've been married 42 years and
Wow,
going.
that's a testimony, 42 years. And I love that you have that inspiration that, you know, even as women, we can learn from men, but to have your significant other, your husband, to be part of that support, you know, that support system for you. Because I know when you're building a business, especially with three children, having a support system is really important.
Very important.
And I want to kind of circle back. I mean, I think it's amazing. I always say that, yes, coaches and consultants need mentors too. And that's why I just wanted you to share a little bit more about that, because I know that you empower so many women. But I want to go back a little bit to the health, because we talked about self-care. Now, do you see, especially women, we are changing our body? I'm actually going to be 58 this year. And, you know, health is not talked a whole lot about, like the changes that we go through as women and so forth. And I'm thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me, but it's natural. It's the part of, I say, maturing and aging. So
Right.
when you're coaching and working with women, is that one of the concerns that you talk a lot about in your community? Is about how the health is changing, and as you said, you were just enduring it. You just, because we're taught that you just kind of suck it up and
Suck it
keep
up.
going, right? Just, you know, hustle and do whatever it takes. But I'm learning that, you know, our health is our biggest wealth. I mean, you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health, you can't do much. So
Right.
have you had that experience in the community with the women who are 50, you know, talking about that, being open about their health? Because I think we don't talk enough about our health.
We do, and the one thing that I do in my group is I try to bring in people who have different expertise, because you can't know everything. And I know for me to try to really be a resource to women in terms of their health, that would not be me. But we bring in women who have a health coaching business and wellness business to do seminars and to share their knowledge within the group. And so that's one thing I love to do, bring in other women who have resources to help women in areas where that's just not my my expertise or something that I really can't help them with, but I know it's important. So we just bring them in to do lives in my group or do a workshop. We just had a workshop in this month, earlier this month, on just on being healthy, breast health, and we'll be having another workshop next month on safety and defense as a woman out in the world, where you can, there's certain products on the market that help us when we're out and about. And so that workshop is coming up in April. And so we try to help women with information that they would normally not get from me because it's not my expertise. So I love that within the group there are women with so many talents and so much knowledge that they're able to share it with each other, and everyone sort of grows together.
Everyone grows together. And we're talking about living your best life after 50. So, health is one of those
Mhm.
areas in our life that is really important. And it's great to know that you're able to collaborate with other women who are experts in that field and so forth. And I love what you're talking about, that you're able to, work with other women, and they may even be, maybe even be in a similar area, like your business coach. And I'm sure you have business coaches in your community. So how do you work together as women, especially over the age of 50, that, you have that synergy and there's not that competition? Is there anything that you do within your community to help synergize your community?
Well, we have before COVID, I used to team up with some of the women. One of them being Carmen Ray, who her business is Be Well for Women, and she would do seminars and workshops, and we would team up, and there would be multiple women there who are business coaches or wellness coaches, and we'd all get together to do a full day workshop together, sharing information. And within my Facebook group online, every day we try to have a theme where people can share. On Monday, they share positive quotes and articles or blogs. On Tuesday, we talk about gratitude. Wednesday, they can share their products or services. And so within that community, especially now that there's COVID, a lot of the things we do are virtual. Um, and so we come together in that way. We have a virtual coffee that we did every week during when COVID was at its highest. And now we're going to once a month where we're meeting over coffee online and just connecting and encouraging each other. It's almost like networking, but we really don't talk business. We talk about life and what's going on. So there are several ways for women to connect in the group, within the network, and we're looking for more ways to do that, especially now that hopefully we're coming out of COVID and getting back to more in person, doing more summits and things that get us together.
Now, I know you said you're working on your third book,
Mhm.
that you are looking for more women authors, and what is it that you're really looking for when someone wants to write their story? Is there something that you're looking for when you're working with women, or is it just open to women who want to write their stories?
Is open to women over 50 who have a story to tell. There is no theme to each book, so each story it stands on its own. So we don't have like everyone in this book is going to be talking about their issues with domestic violence or financial issues. It's whatever they're going through, and if they're willing to share their story. And so basically, there is no criteria. It's just being willing to open up and honestly tell your story and be able to help someone. I've only had one story that was submitted that it really didn't have a lot of value to women over 50. Um, and that person ended up just writing their own book. So there's no criteria. It's just that they have to be willing to go through the process and be able to meet all the requirements up front when they sign up to join up the collaboration project.
And they can contact you by, we have your website, I know, in our ticker, and that's the best way
Yeah.
to get in touch with you if someone or a woman over 50 who would love
Right.
to write a story to
Oh,
contact you directly, correct?
yes, they can. They're on my website under the book publishing. There's a category for the collaboration project. Or if they have a book that they've written or want to write and they want to have an individual book published, we do that as well. And so they have an option to connect with us, and we'll set up a consultation and see if it's something, if an individual book, if it's something that we can publish. And for the collaboration project, we just keep it at a minimum. I don't like to have too many women because I want people to be able to savor the stories and not get lost in a lot of pages. So each book will have around 8 authors in it.
Wow. And you said you've published 2 and you're working on your 3rd.
Mhm.
So that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So there is a question we love to ask each of our guests, and it's a question by Buckminster Fuller. And if we could bring that up, I'd like to go ahead and read this to you. So the big question is, how do we make the world work for 100% of humanity in the shortest possible time through spontaneous cooperation without ecological damage or disadvantage to anyone? So, Cheryl, what is your thoughts on that?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is just loving each other.
Mm.
If we love people and we respect people, no matter what's going on in our world, it can be solved. And if we respect the environment, if we respect our world, the resources, our planet, and we do it in love, I don't see how we lose. Going through COVID and seeing, and not just COVID, but the last few years, the George Floyd, all the hate and negativity that has come across our airways, and it is all lacking love for each other, no matter what our color, no matter what our gender, no matter what our sexual preference. If we love people and we respect people and we do it, all of us do it, then 100% of us are better off. And if it's, that's the only thing that changes the world. And that is to really love people and to genuinely care about them. Because when you love people, you don't want them to be hungry. You don't want them to be homeless. You don't want them to live in poverty. You don't want them to suffer hate and to be abused or to traumatized. If you just love them, people respond to love. Love is the greatest of anything, the greatest thing that we can do. And so that would be my solution to our world, is to just truly find a way in our hearts to love each other and treat each other with the respect that comes with being a human being.
And I want to say, I love what you're just talking about, but it is so true. Love is a universal language. And if we just start with ourselves, right, and just respect others, that we can truly change the world one person at a time. And I
Yes.
love what you said. When we love others, we don't want to see them hungry.
Mhm.
We don't want to see them in pain. So we're going to do something about it. So thank you
Right.
so much. I really love that answer and really appreciate it. Now, Cheryl, I want to know a little bit more because you have, been very successful in different businesses. You're running a community. You're a publisher, and I know you say you always plan the day before the day
Mhm.
begins. But do you have any productivity? I won't call them hacks, but is there anything that you do and that you teach women over 50? Because I know we even talked about it.
Mhm.
When we do, you know, wake up in the morning, you have something to do because you planned it. But
Mhm.
is there anything that you do to get everything done? Because you are an amazing woman. You have a lot going on. So I was wondering if there's anything that you do, specialty, like a that you do that helps you, stay organized and help you to accomplish the goals that you have achieved over the years.
I call it action planning.
Mm,
I use that in my training and it with business planning, and it's taking bigger tasks and breaking them into smaller pieces, especially big projects. Sometimes when we have a bigger project, it can be overwhelming if we look at the big project. But if you look at, well, first I have to set up the sign up form, and then I have to create the first level of content. Then, if you just break it down into all the tasks that are involved in getting that finished thing done, it helps you not be so overwhelmed. So I teach action planning using templates that take bigger goals, break them into smaller goals, and each of those goals or tasks get a completion date so that by the time the project is due, it's done. So I think that if you're struggling with getting productivity, getting things that completed, break them into smaller tasks and give each of those tasks a due date so that when you come to that completion date, you're not scrambling to get 1,000 things done.
action planning. I love that. I know you are strategic in business planning, but it's those action steps and really
Mhm.
breaking them down into baby steps. And once you've accomplished one of those little action goals or those baby steps, then it actually gets you closer to the bigger
Mhm.
vision, to the bigger dream, right? So
Yeah.
wow, thank you. I love that I love that what you're saying, the action planning. We talk about strategic planning, and we talk about our marketing plans, and I
Mhm.
mean, so that is just I love that thought process and that process that you do, that you work with your women, your amazing community. So Cheryl, is there anything that we haven't shared today or talked about that, maybe something exciting? I know you're working on your third book, but is there
Mhm.
something else that you would like to share with our viewers? Especially, we're talking about living your best life after 50. And I know we touched on a lot of things, from mindset to health to confidence. But is there something that else you would like to share with our viewers before we close out our broadcast?
Well, one thing I am doing in April that some of your viewers may want to connect and be a part of. I'm doing a free workshop on actually how to get your book published, because so many of us think that the process is something that only happens to a certain group of people, but anyone who has written a book and who has that story to tell and who's willing to do the work to get that book to publishable form can publish a book. And so we're doing a workshop on April 12th at 1 o'clock Pacific time. And it's a free workshop. So if they want to have information on that, they can connect with me. And I believe that we're going to be putting out some promotional information on that later today and tomorrow if they're interested in doing that. And basically, I just encourage everyone to share your stories, whether it's in a book, whether it's in if you're in some kind of a speaking format, or just telling your friends, share who you are and what makes you unique. And I think that's another thing that helps us as a world be better, because we can share with each other.
I know, just it's going back to that big question you just answered, right? About love, just
Uh-huh.
loving each other. And when we're sharing our stories, we're not only loving ourselves, right? Because we're accepting our story and sharing it with others. So that's a form of love. So I love that project that you're working on, and definitely, I'm sure the website that we've given, that you can contact you to learn a little bit more about
Right.
that workshop in April.
Yes.
And yes, so and Cheryl, we've talked about a lot of things today, And I think what really gets me excited is that you have a special niche, that you are really passionate about working with
Mhm.
women over 50. So how do you see yourself in the next, 10 years? Because I know you had that conversation with your son. He's like, is it over? And you're doing quite a lot now, you're empowering so many women. But do you have a big vision in 10 years? Like, who do you want to become, and have in 10 years from now? Because I could see you, 10 years from now doing big things. So, do you have a vision you'd like to share with us?
Oh gosh. Um, my vision for me, not 10 years out, that's a little too far for me. Maybe within the next 4 or 5 years is to really see my Becoming 50 Something book series be something that most women over 50 have in their bookshelves because they are so inspired by the stories in the books. So really that's one of my biggest goals is to get that information to women over 50, um, and become that premier, like I said, that voice of women for women over 50 who feel sometimes they don't have a voice. And so hope through the books, I hope to do some kind of a podcast. That's something I've been thinking of doing, some kind of ways for women to come on and share their stories verbally as well as in written form. So those are the things that are sort of out in the future. Um, but right now, I'm hopefully focusing on ending 2022 strong and being able to affect a lot of women over 50 to live that best life right now.
Live that best life right
Yeah.
now. And one closing comment. What would you sum up living your best life now, over 50? What does that look like to you? Because I know every woman's different, but when
Mhm.
a woman comes to you and says, hey, they're not feeling confident, and they need inspiration, because it means different things for different
Mhm.
people. So what would your definition of living your best life after 50 be?
It would be to be able to do that one, it just that one thing that you were truly passionate about and be able to do it on your own terms and without money, time, or any kind of freedom being in the way from you doing it, and to be able to do what you need to do in your life to be able to accomplish that. So if it means that your dream or your passion is to be able to be some kind of life coach, then do all those things that you need to do to be there and don't let anything stop you. That's living your best life, not letting things get in the way of your dreams and your hopes and your goals for yourself. And it's different for everyone. For me, part of my best life, I have 3 grandchildren, is I just came back from Oxnard, a week there where I just put work aside because I can. I've created that freedom to be able to do that. So that's part of living my best life, to be able to be with my grandchildren and spend that time without worrying about whether this bill will get paid or this thing will happen. And it's also to be able to create the thing, my books, and to help other women create their books, and to be able to do that in excellence. So that's really, it's different for every woman. But if you just think about your passions and living your passion and not letting anything get in the way of that, then I think that's the definition of your best life after 50.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. It has been truly an honor and a pleasure speaking with you. And just, I see your passion and your heart for women. And you're so right. Just living your best life. It's really, we define our best life, but just having the freedom and
Hmm.
the freedom. I think that at 50, you're able to just to be yourself
Yes.
and fulfill or go after that passion or that dream that maybe you put on the shelf and you forgot about. And so
Right.
I'm just so thankful that you're reminding us as women over 50, because I am over 52, but just giving us a voice. I just want to thank you for joining us today. And I just want to kind of remind our viewers that next week, next Wednesday, you want to join us for Michele Claveto's Ignite Your Essence show. She's Wednesday at 5 p.m. And then I'll be back here on Thursday at 11 a.m. And once again, thank you, Cheryl, with just sharing with us, how to live our best life after 50. And if you want to connect with Cheryl, please, we had the ticker with her website, 50somethinglifestyle.com. And with that, we want to be here next week and help you ignite your essence. That's it for now. Bye-bye.